guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the second part of my February wrap-up. In the first half of the month, I did my initial wrap-up where I think I talked about like 15 books. I have 10 for the second half of the month. I've just been so busy with work lately that the day gets away from me, and then I don't have a lot of time to read at night because some days I was working late into the night and it was just a lot of projects I had going on, so I definitely did not get to read as much as I wanted to, but audiobooks saved me. I listened to so many audiobooks and I actually have some really great books that I read, so I'm very excited to get into them. But first, I do want to chat about a candle I was sent. I love supporting small businesses, and so I have a candle from Novelwicks that they sent me for free. I am not being paid, this is not sponsored, but like I said, I love shouting out small businesses and promoting them, and so I haven't even opened this yet. Oh, there's two. Okay, I thought she was only sending one. So I love Novelwicks. I have so many of their candles, and I wanted my reaction because this is for Mass March, I think, for Sarah J. Maas. And so check out her shop down below. I will for sure link it in the description box. So the first one we have is Caranam. Okay, I'm assuming this is, don't kill me, this is from Throne of Glass. So, okay, there we go. I'm actually in the middle of reading Throne of Glass, so I don't know what this means, but this smells like earth, patchouli, and mint leaf. It smells so good. They're always wick candles or like the wood burning wick, and they always have glitter. I love them. And then she sent another one, which I was completely not expecting, and I know who this is. Obviously, I know who this is. I actually also have a Crescent City one from the shop that I love. Oh my gosh, I love it. So this one is Resand, and it's like this really pretty blue color. Oh my gosh, and it's pineapple musk coconut. Oh my god. I love fruity. I'm not super into like more super floral scents. This is like heaven. Oh my gosh. And it's got the purple, and we'll see Resand. There we go. This is the label. We have Resand. We have the purple. It is just stunning. So like I said, shop will be linked down below, and you can use my code JESS10 to save. Shop small, support your small businesses, grab some new Sarah J. Maas candles from their collection, because I think on the back it normally says Throne of Glass is going to be coming out March 1st, which is the day I'm filming this. ACOTAR is March 8th. Something New on March 15th, Crescent City March 22nd, and more Sarah J. Maas on March 22nd. So, oh my gosh, these are so pretty. Oh my gosh. Check out their shop, check out their candles. Okay, now we're going to be getting into all the books that I read in the second half. So the first one I read is Icebound by Meredith Trapp. This is actually a debut romance, and I loved it. I talked about it in my 5-star romances I read in the winter, and this one is a hockey romance. The hero is actually a hockey goalie, and he is not sure what he wants to do with his life because he's at the end of his career where he's like, I should retire, but he's like, what is my life without hockey? So he's kind of freaking out about it, and he's ready to settle down. He's in his 30s. The heroine's 22, and she's a college student, and she meets him, and something happens, and they have to fake date, and she is just at a point in her life where she's just like, go with the flow. She's just figuring things out, and so they are definitely like really right person but wrong time. But he is so genuinely sweet to her. I was obsessed. At one point she wore someone else's jersey to his game. He was like, you are never doing that again. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I loved so much of this. A lot of mental health rep in here too, so highly recommend. I give this one 5 stars. Then I listened, like I said, I listened to a lot of audiobooks. So I listened to the audiobook of Second Duke's The Charm. I went on a little cabin retreat trip with my sister and Tori from Novel Life, and it's so much fun. I will link my vlog down below that I did while we were there. I listened to this on the way there on the drive, and it was a perfect audiobook to listen to because it was so much fun. I need an audiobook that's not boring, or else it like makes me sleepy driving. So this one is a historical romance where the heroine, she married a duke and he died on their wedding day, and so she basically has all this freedom. But actually what I really liked about this is she has kind of like a job with the queen to investigate things. I would have liked that to be explained like a little bit more, as opposed to like there were like maybe 2 scenes and one was at the end to further conflict with the guy. I would have liked it to be a little bit more fleshed out, this whole thing she's going on with the queen. But the hero has inherited the dukedom that her husband had. He's like 8th in line, and everybody like keeps on dying, and so what happens is they have a marriage of convenience. They actually met at this like very scandalous party, but she was masked, but he's like, I for sure know who you are, like obviously it was you, which I'm like, okay, I appreciate that reality of that situation. But someone is trying to kill them. And so he is trying to figure out who it is. If it's someone after her, if it's someone after him, who could it be? And so there's a little bit of mystery in there. Solid 4-star read. I had a lot of fun listening to this audiobook. Okay, so then we ended up reading this book and my sister picked it out. We really wanted to read a fantasy romance together. And so my sister gave us some options and we ended up reading The Road of Bones, which I'd never heard of before. And this is a like Viking fantasy. It was so cool. So it starts out with our heroine losing her father in the beginning and he tells her something that she needs to get to this certain place. So she's like, okay, like these people are trying to come after me. I'm gonna go. And so it's basically like this road and they're like traveling to this place and she ends up kind of sneaking on to this like vigilante group and like joining them, and that is our group of like Vikings, and they are on a mission for someone else and lots of dangerous situations happening. She's learning a lot more about herself. She's kind of falling in love with one of them and things happen. And the ending was really good. So I gave us like 4.5 stars. I think I would round down to 4 because the beginning was definitely pretty slow, but oh, I left my bookmark in here. But I really enjoyed this world. I really enjoyed the magic and learning like different people who had magic, and it was so interesting. And someone's after her too, like an assassin is chasing her down too, and I had a lot of fun reading this. And if you have magic, like that's bad. So like people want to come after you if you have magic. But I love the atmosphere of this book. Solid 4, probably more on the 4.5 side, but not good enough to be a 5-star. But the romance has me intrigued, I will say. Okay, so then I listened to The Spy and I by Tiana Smith, which I was super excited for, and it definitely kind of like was a more cheeky spy romance, kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing, where the heroine, she is going on to meet her, she went on an interview first and she's like, this was a kind of weird interview, and then she goes to meet her sister for lunch and this guy sits down and he's like talking about like a package and like all these things, and she's like, what the heck is happening? At first she thinks that her sister set her up on a blind date and she's really mad, and then she figures out, so it's her twin sister and they think she's her twin and her twin's a spy, and so she's like dragged into all of this, and the person she was having an interview with is also a spy, and he comes to like save her from these people, and then she ends up going around with him because he says he's her sister's partner and she's gone rogue. So now they're like, you need to pretend to be your sister and help me get these things, and so she ends up going on this mission with him, and that's who the romance is with. I feel like the romance was a little bit like lackluster in this book compared to like the action that was happening. I was having so much fun though. It did feel very insta-love, and I was like, you guys like barely know each other, and like I didn't feel like the romance was that great, but this was so fun. And there were parts where I was just like, I was narrating the whole thing to my sister as I was reading. I was like, oh my gosh, like this just happened and this just happened, and like different things were happening, and I was like, this is so fun, like a spy movie, and I just had a lot of fun reading it. So I gave it a 4-star, like more so probably 3.5, because like I said, the romance really wasn't that great, and like the ending definitely dragged for me, but the setup was so fun. This is just what I love, and I need more like kind of action like that in my romances, so a 4-star just for being fun. Then I listened to the audiobook of Scoring the Player. I feel like this month for the second half had a lot, not the next book, but a lot of solid 4-star reads. This was a 4-star read. This one is about our heroine who was overheard talking about the hero who is hotshot football player on campus, and she's like, I would climb him like a tree. Someone recorded it, it goes viral, and he has really kind of liked her for a long time, but she's definitely like this shy wallflower heroine, and so she like never talks to him because she's like, oh my god, like look at him, I'm not gonna talk to him. And so he ends up asking her to fake date him, and that way like people shut up about her talking about him, stop giving her a hard time, and he is trying to like get this one girl. I don't love vindictive like female characters in books, and in this one the one girl who was like his ex was definitely like out to get her and like wanting to get him back, and I don't love that, but this was really sweet because they were really falling for each other as they were fake dating, and he was kind of teaching her things, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I wasn't like obsessed with it like I was at the last book in this series. The last book is just so good. So comparing all of them, this was still a really solid romance in the series, but more of a 4-star read. I just really liked their dynamic and how she was trying to like come out of her shell a little bit and like really believe that he liked her, because she's like, there's no way you could like me, and they were really falling for each other. It was just really cute. Then unfortunately I listened to the audiobook of Till Dawn Tames the Night, and listen, I love Megan McKinney's Lions and Lace. That one was such a good historical romance. This one, not so much. The beginning was good. So the beginning, the heroine is going to Jamaica to be like a governess for someone on a plantation, and she goes on this ship, and it ends up being they're pirates. I listened to this audiobook and by halfway through I was like, I want a DNF, but I'm just gonna passively listen to pass the time while I work. So I was working on things, wasn't 100% paying attention to the rest of this because I just did not care, but I wanted to be able to finish it so I could be able to talk in our book club because it was our historical Hellions pick, but there was nothing that happened. Nothing happened. She ended up figuring out that the hero's trying to get this artifact from her that her father left her, though she doesn't know her father because he died, so she's been like in kind of like foster care situation, and he lied about the governess position to draw her out there to get this from her, and she just like refuses to tell him throughout the entirety of the book, and nothing happens. Like, it's a pirate romance and nothing happens. In this long of a book, nothing happens. So I was so bored. I gave it 2 stars. The romance was nothing to be excited about either. Like, the hero was not a good person. Nothing about the romance I liked, so no thank you. Stick to Lines and Lace if you're interested. And then I ended up reading an arc of Where We Belong by Ashley Munoz, and she sent me a gorgeous PR box in this stunning paperback. I just think that the covers fit the vibes so well because these are motorcycle romances and they're giving me my 2017, 2016 motorcycle obsession vibes that I had back then when I was reading like the Fallen Men series. This one is book 2 in the series. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. I think I might like book 1 a little better because it's a second chance romance, which is like, oh my god. This one, the hero has actually been the vice president of the motorcycle club for a while, and now he is becoming president after things that happened in the first book. I would recommend reading them in order just to really understand it better, but this one also had flashbacks, that flashback to 3 months prior to what like happened in book 1 when he and the heroine first met. The heroine is his childhood best friend's best friend now, and his childhood best friend, she's back in town after her father passed away, and he was the motorcycle club president. Our hero Killian has had a really rough past. He used to have like this bright light to him, and then stuff really bad happened to him and his family, and so he's just been really toughened and closed his heart off. And so he thinks that anybody in the club, like, their lives are just gonna be ruined, especially women. And so he really pushes the heroine away because he doesn't want her ruined by the club. She has a secret of her own, who her parents are, but she's hiding out with the club, and they just like dance around each other, push and pull, and it is so good. I loved this. I just love the atmosphere of the club too, and they have a lot of things going on with 2 other motorcycle clubs and taking in someone from one of the clubs. This just sets up future romances so well too that I'm obsessed with all the characters, and super spicy between them two. They could not keep their hands off of each other because they just had this intense attraction. I loved this. If you want motorcycle romances, check out this series. This one was a 5-star read. Then for Ravish by Romance, I read the Book of Azrael. I actually read the first half on Kindle, and then I was like, I need to do stuff today, and I had started the day on 10%, and I had to finish this 700-page book by 6 p.m. So I popped in the audiobook and listened to the rest on audio, and I gave this a solid 4.5 stars. I didn't love it enough to give it 5 stars because the second half was not my favorite, but I loved the beginning of this book. We have our heroine who is created to be this like really intense magical creature. She can turn into any creature she wants to. She can taste people's blood and see their memories, and she is just like this killing machine for our bad guy who is pretty much ruling the world right now, and he rules all of the paranormal creatures. We have like vampires, like nightmare walkers, werewolves, things like that, and he created her, but he's looking for this book, the Book of Azrael. This guy is a god, our hero is, and he has been missing for like thousands of years because something happened, and he literally can destroy worlds. And so he is like all powerful, and we kind of just like hear whispers of him in the beginning, so you're just like, who is this man? And like people who are working for him are like the enemies of who the heroine is working for, and so they're looking for this book, and it goes from there. I think that the second half, like the first half was so action-packed and so cool, and the heroine literally just like could kill anybody she wanted however she wanted. She was just like unstoppable, and I love that in a heroine. But then it got really mundane, and like they were going on a road trip together. They went to a carnival, and I was like, bring me back to my fantasy world. I don't love when they mix like fantasy world with urban fantasy, which is just basically like it feels like it's our world. I'm like, that's so boring to me. And so I loved the first half, like I said, but like the second half was just a little bit of lackluster, but then the ending blew my mind. I was like, what is gonna happen? Like, what are these characters gonna do? So 4 stars for sure, probably round up to 4.5, but not good enough to be a 5-star read, but I will definitely finish the series. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I was reading The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson on audio, and I was obsessed. This is for sure a 5-star read. It is an Omegaverse, and I've only read, I think, one other one. I read Lola and the Millionaires, but this was kind of like The Nanny, where it just had me smiling so much because of how adorable and just like awkward and cute the characters are. So the heroine, she needs a fake boyfriend, really, not a mate. She needs a fake boyfriend because her grandmother will not get off her back. And she's like, Grandma, I am dating someone. And she says the name of the first person that walks into the room, which is our hero, who is a doctor. And he is actually an alpha, and the hospital figured out about it. And I guess alphas are like dangerous sometimes, even though the hero never is. And so he feels like he needs to have a mate to seem like normal and civilized. So he tells her, he's like, what about we fake date and you be my fake mate? And so then he learns that she's actually an Omega, and I guess that's a big deal. I'm learning. And it's just like, I love the paranormal aspect because he's like, I haven't smelled you in 3 days, like I'm going insane. And like things happen at work. She goes into heat at one point, and he's like supposed to take care of her as her mate. And it is so good. And the hero's just so gentle and just like really wants the best, and a little bit like broody and just like quiet, and people don't know how to approach him. And I loved it. And she's like, he's really more interesting than you all think. Like, he's just like a really great guy. It was so cute. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. I was just like smiling like a fool the whole time. It's so good. Please read it. I don't love to end on a bad note, but I was very excited for this book. I ended up reading Down Broken Lane by Amber Hart. I had an e-arc of this. I was really excited to try out a new romantic suspense author. I gave this one 3 stars, and that's kind of being generous. I just think that the suspense in here was so lackluster. So we're following our heroine, who we know has gone to this town to hide out. It's a town really far away from a lot of other things. You have to drive like 30 minutes to the closest grocery store. She works at their like convenience store that they have in town, and the hero moves to town, and he shows up, and he's like trying to figure out like where to rent a place, and calls on the board, and she's actually renting out her trailer. So then he ends up staying on her property, on her trailer, and it's their romance, but the romantic suspense happened in the last like 15%. We just know she's hiding something, he's hiding something. We get like a couple flashbacks here or there of her past life, and then all of a sudden it's like, now we have our suspense and it's over in 15%. And I was so bored because I'm at 85% of the book was just like them getting to know each other, her going to work. They talked about the weather so much, and I was just like, there's nothing really happening, and there's no stakes. I was never nervous for her. We knew someone wanted to figure out where she was. We knew the hero was hiding from something, but no one was ever like on them or about to find them. I just feel like there were no stakes in this either, and I just was more bored than anything. And I'm so sad because I really want to find new romantic suspense authors and really hype up authors that like not a lot of people read, but this was just a miss for me. So 3 stars, more like 2.5, but it wasn't like horrible. It was just a little boring. Those are the books that I read in the second half of the month of February. I will link down below my first half, and that is all I have. Make sure that you check out Novelwicks. I will have my link in my code down below for some Sarah J. Maas candles, and let me know what your favorite books of the month were. I would love to hear, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.